The 2022 NFL Draft starts on Thursday, and on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, we'll be live for all 3 days, breaking down every single selection during every round live. But also here on the 49ers Report, the Niners right now have 9 picks, and every draft pick that they make, we'll be pushing out a video breaking down that prospect. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications. Therefore, anytime we push out a video and anytime we go live, you'll be notified. Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. And we have a loaded show on tap for all of you, getting into the latest on Deebo Samuel, as well as a possible trade proposal for Kadarius Toney of the New York Giants. So we begin with Deebo Samuel and John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, going to speak with the media sometime this afternoon, and really I'm fascinated to see what both of them are going to say about this Deebo Samuel trade request. But as of right now, so many reports to get to from over the weekend and on Monday. 49ers asking price for Deebo, one of the most valuable players in the National Football League, remains extraordinarily high, as it should be. And according to Tony Pauline, the Jets are all in trying to acquire Deebo Samuel, willing to give up a very valuable asset, the number 10 pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. So we begin with what Albert Breer had to say on Monday morning about Deebo. Quote, "I could be wrong, and the reason I'd emphasize that up front is I'm not sure how far someone else is willing to go to trade for Deebo Samuel. I just feel like at this point, with how carefully the Niners are managing the situation, it'd take a lot for them to move off of their spot, meaning it'd take a lot for them to trade Deebo Samuel. How much would it take?" One rival general manager said to me on Sunday, he believes you'd probably have to go to John Lynch with 2 first-round picks, which would replace the 2022 and 2023 first-rounders the Niners dealt away last year to move up for Trey Lance, to wiggle Samuel free of San Francisco. And that is a lot, even in comparison to other big wide receiver trades of the early parts of this offseason. And the one that you really have to base the Deebo Samuel potential trade off of, in my opinion, is the Tyreek Hill trade that went down between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins. And I think it could be something similar if the 49ers move off of Deebo, their former second-round pick, given how great he was last year in Kyle Shanahan's offense. So the Dolphins received Tyreek Hill, then paid him $30 million per year, and the Chiefs received a lot of picks. And I think the Niners can get something close to this. First-round pick in this year's draft, 29th overall, a 2022 second and fourth round pick as well, and then a 2023 fourth and sixth round pick. So something in the neighborhood is what John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, Parag, Adam Peters should be asking for in exchange, for one of the best offensive weapons that the NFL has seen in recent memory. So I want all of you watching right now to get creative into the comment section, hop into the trade machine, and comment with your best Deebo Samuel trade proposal right now. Is it something like Tyreek Hill? More or less, you let me know down below. As for that report from Tony Pauline of Pro Football Network, he's been in on this Deebo saga over the last couple of weeks, really throughout this offseason as well. He said this over the weekend. What did the Jets do with the 10th overall pick in this week's draft? No surprise here, but word in league circles is that the Jets, and most specifically Joe Douglas, their general manager, are all in, quote, all in on using that pick to acquire Deebo Samuel. Now, back when Tyreek Hill was traded to the Miami Dolphins, the Jets were in the Tyreek sweepstakes as well. They had offered picks 35, 38, and 69 for the Cheetah. What did the Kansas City Chiefs do? They got more in that package back from the Miami Dolphins, so that left the Jets on the outside looking in. But the point here being, the Jets are looking for a bona fide number 1 weapon. They have a level of familiarity and a line of communication with San Francisco because of the Robert Saleh factor. And they want to bring in a dynamic weapon to the number 1 media market in New York to try to get that franchise back on track. And they'd be willing and have the money to pay Deebo Samuel something, certainly to keep an eye on in the days leading up to the NFL Draft. And just moments ago, Ian Rappaport saying, if Deebo does get traded, it will be before Thursday, which makes a lot of sense because the Niners want to get draft picks in order and in line to try to make their selections to make up for losing Deebo Samuel if they do end up trading him away. Now, if the Jets offer number 10 for Deebo Samuel. There are going to be a lot of really intriguing players on the board for San Francisco to try to fill that void of Deebo being sent packing. And if the Niners get that number 10 pick back, these are some of the players that I'm looking for the Niners to pinpoint with that 10th overall selection. We first start off by taking a look at the top wide receivers on my big board. Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State, Jamison Williams coming off the torn ACL out of Alabama. Drake London has some really good size out of USC. I like Treylon Burks, arguably the best out of all of these guys, and Chris Olave out of Ohio State. Now that's if the Niners want to replace Deebo Samuel with the wide receiver at number 10. But to their luxury, let's say they get number 10 and some second-round picks back. There are some really good wide receivers who are going to be available on the board for San Francisco in the second round as well, in addition to them having that 61 overall pick if they end up hanging on to it. Other targets at number 10. How about Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame, one of my favorite players in this draft class. Unbelievable leadership qualities, can range sideline to sideline and play that center fielder role at that safety spot. His testing numbers weren't all that great. The game tape tells me otherwise. Derek Stingley could also be free at number 10. So too could Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon, Jermaine Johnson, an edge rusher like Thibodeau out of Florida State. And if the Niners want to go to a different position of need, offensive tackle Charles Cross out of Mississippi State, who's the number 1 tackle on a lot of teams' boards, could also be there at number 10 as well. So the point here is that there are a lot of really, really talented players, franchise changers, impact guys who can come in, play week 1, and make an impact right away if the Niners get that number 10 pick back for Deebo Samuel. There are two truths to this situation. It would obviously suck to lose Deebo. You drafted him. Homegrown talent. He was magnificent last year. He's one of one. He's certainly built different. We haven't seen a lot of players with his skill set. But also, there could potentially be some great players available, and you can use that draft pick and maybe others to build your football team. And we know that Kyle Shanahan, his mastermind lies on the offensive side of the football. We know that by now, and we've talked about it, right? I have trust in Kyle Shanahan that if you trade away Deebo, this offense will still work, even if Trey Lance is the inexperienced starter for this team here in 2022. I do hope that Deebo Samuel realizes that playing for the San Francisco 49ers and finding a way to figure out the contract snafu, the low ball offer, if that was in fact offered, or this contentious relationship is much better than playing for the hapless New York Jets. Now, I tweeted this out on my Twitter page, at Chase_Senior on Sunday, and a bunch of Jets fans started mentioning me. They hopped into my DMs, and they said to me, Chase, you better realize what the Jets are doing right now. It's a different regime. You know what, New York Jets fans? I'm 30 years old. I've been waiting for them to figure it out my entire lifetime, and they still haven't. Playing for the Niners, a blue blood franchise, better than playing for the hapless New York Jets. Those folks, those are just facts. Still to come here on the show, is there a chance that Deebo Samuel could actually return? Could he figure out this relationship with San Francisco? Plus, we'll dive into the latest on Kadarius Toney, former first-round pick last year out of Florida for the New York Giants. Wide receiver could be on the move. But first, we just took a look at 10 players who could be on the board for the 49ers at number 10. Who would you select if the Jets and Niners come to an agreement on a trade that sends Deebo to the Jets in exchange for that number 10 pick, among other selections? Give me a name or names in the comment section. Now, off the top, I had told you, Niners have 9 picks in the upcoming draft. We're going to be breaking down every single selection after the draft is over. We'll be doing grades, looking at all of the selections that the Niners ended up making. But on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv, we continue to grow like crazy and kill the game, approaching 300,000 subs. And over the last few years, we've been the most watched NFL draft coverage on YouTube as well as on Rumble this year. That's not going to change this year, folks. We will be live all 3 days, all 7 rounds, breaking down every single pick. So make sure you join us on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel by plugging in that link down below. And, of course, subscribe and turn on those notifications. Okay, before we get to Kadarius Toney, could Deebo Samuel return? Obviously, there was that weird video coming from a club in Los Angeles where Deebo was training throughout this weekend. He was also in Malibu getting that work in during the offseason. Basically, if you didn't see that club video, tweeted it out on my Twitter page at Chase_Senior. Somebody had bottle service in a section at a club. Deebo Samuel was in the rear view, and they got one of those, I don't know, confetti popping signs that's all lit up with fireworks coming out of it, and it said, Deebo is staying, hashtag 49ers. Camera pans over to Deebo, and Deebo goes, nah, fam. Like, there's no truth to that. I ain't going back to the Bay. Now, I got James Harden vibes there. I mean, Deebo Samuel's really just gone rogue, which is really weird considering after the year, he's like, I want to be with the Niners for a long time, and we will be back at the NFC Championship game trying to compete for a Super Bowl. Then his agent and probably his friends and family got in his ear. It's really weird what's transpiring on the Deebo front, but I thought that club video was pretty telling because he's like, yo, I ain't going back to the Bay, man. That ship has certainly sailed. But Peter King did say this. Not saying Deebo Samuel will change his mind. He told ESPN's Jeff Darlington he wants out. But if every professional sports star who asked to be traded actually was traded, we'd have 25 mega trades a year, not 3 or 4. Now, I look back many years ago to the Terrell Owens situation with the Philadelphia Eagles after he had joined Philly, after being with San Francisco, when he was doing curls and sit-ups in his driveway, when he was holding out from Eagles training camp because he wanted a new contract. And even there was contract standoffs back in the day between Jerry Rice and San Francisco. It's my hope that Deebo, his camp, his agents are going to be able to come to an agreement with the Niners to find a way to bring him back, to have him rock the scarlet, red, and gold for a really long time. And right now, the 49ers have the power in their hands. 1 year left on Deebo's contract. He's not going to be able to get out of it. If he forfeits that salary, which is a base deal of less than $4 million this upcoming year, it's not a lot of money, especially when you're living in a tax-heavy state like California. And then after this year, the 49ers can franchise tag Deebo Samuel to make him one of the highest paid wide receivers for a 1-year basis. So the power right now is in the hands of the Niners, not really Deebo Samuel, but the player empowerment era has certainly trickled from the NBA to the NFL, and oftentimes when a trade demand is made nowadays, those trades end up coming to fruition. What are the chances Deebo does return to the Bay? It's my next question for the faithful here on today's show. Get into the comment section and give me an L for likely, a U for unlikely. Fascinated to see where you're all at. We're going to round out today's show, getting to the latest Kadarius Toney rumors. There were reports over the weekend from Pat Leonard, who covers the New York Giants, that the Giants are looking to deal away their former first-round pick. Now, Toney was not in attendance at Giants voluntary workouts or at minicamp. According to reports, Brian Daboll, not happy with Kadarius Toney, hasn't even gotten to the facility to get his hands on the new playbook. There's a new regime in New York with Joe Schoen coming over from Buffalo, as well as Brian Daboll. And there must be more going on behind closed doors for the Giants to be shopping Toney. What could be happening? Well, a lot of problems that have followed Kadarius Toney throughout his year and change in the NFL. Missed some of his rookie workouts, reported practice and meeting issues throughout his rookie campaign, missed 7 games with injuries. There was a time when he was practicing with the wrong cleats and had to exit the practice field because he was dealing with foot issues. That ain't smart. He threw a punch against the Dallas Cowboys and was ejected and didn't report to OTAs. Now, when you have a new coach and a new general manager taking over and trying to overturn that awful culture that was in place last year under Joe Judge, you should do your best and do everything that you can to get on the good side of your new head coach and your new general manager. Kadarius Toney hasn't done that, and maybe that's why in year 2 of his NFL career, year 1 for Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, they're looking to move on from him. Now, Kadarius Toney certainly has ability. There were times that I watched him last year, and I'm like, you know what? He gives me some Tyreek Hill flashes. He is really dynamic with his ability to make defenders miss after the catch. He just wasn't available enough, and you stack that on top of everything else that's ensued since he was really shockingly taken in that first round, classic Dave Gettleman pick. In 2021, 10 games played, 57 targets, 39 receptions, 420 yards, 0 touchdowns. For me, I've had some Niner fans reach out to me and say, look, if we lose Deebo Samuel, are you willing to take a shot and a risk on Kadarius Toney? For me, he hasn't shown me that he can be relied upon and trusted. There were some concerns for him coming out of Florida when there was a gun incident. There were other concerns about him actually being in love with football while he was playing with the Florida Gators, and those red flags have now translated to his time with the New York Giants. I was shocked that he was drafted in the first round because I thought he was more worthy of a second-round selection. The play on the field was okay, but way too spotty for me. Were there some flashes that he put on the game film? No doubt about it, but the character issues, not putting in work, not showing effort, when you have to prove yourself, certainly does concern me a lot. So for me, even if the Niners trade away Deebo Samuel, I think there are better options out there in free agency as well as the NFL draft than taking a chance on Kadarius Toney, where the red flags are certainly present. Would you trade for Kadarius Toney? I'm saying no, but if you want to disagree with me, that's all good. I'm all for an open-minded conversation here on the 49ers Report. Type T for trade or type P for pass. Get those votes into the comment section. Also, give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. All throughout the week, every day, all year round, always tweeting out the hottest, most glorious takes, as well as the latest 49ers news and rumors. Give me a follow on both of those social media platforms. The handle is the same, at Chase_Senior. Thanks to all of you for watching today's show. And this week on the 49ers Report, with all of our NFL draft coverage, it's going to be awesome.